Palace, what you cooking?
Hello ladies and gentlemen. In 4 days time, I'm going to be setting foot back into the boxing ring on the Queensbury Boxing League. I'm really looking forward to the fight. I've been training extra hard. The first fight went my way, I won it. But quite naturally, as you start winning fights, the competition only gets stronger. I've stepped up my training. I'm sometimes training twice a day. I'm going to different gyms for sparring and things like that. I hate losing. I'm very competitive. And if I do suffer a loss, which I call, learning, I have to go back and fix that. And that was part of the reason why I got back in the ring. I've got no doubt it's going to be a very, very good night. If you're still keen to come into support and watch me, and bearing in mind all the proceeds from the boxing tickets is going to the charitable cause again, Bromley and Downham, which is very close to my heart. If you can't attend and you can't buy a ticket or you don't want to, then there is a Just Giving page as well, which you can find on my Facebook or my socials, my Instagram. If you've got my phone number, just hit me up and I'll send it to you. I want to have a recap on some of the things that I did in preparation and some of the reasons why I started boxing again after 6 years. So I want to walk you through 4 main things on the preparation of the fight and also some of my reasons why I took up boxing again and why I'm going to continue boxing over the next couple of years. It's going to be broken down into training, diet, nutrition, recovery, and also my purpose, my mission behind it. So I'll start with the top, my training, hill sprints. Now when I say hill sprints, it was almost like a hill plod, because where I was running in Box Hill, which I documented and I put up on my Instagram and I think on YouTube, it's a really, really high, steep climb, and you could probably only sprint for a maximum of 30 seconds if you're really fit, and then you won't be able to sprint no more. Even if you're the fittest guy in the world, you're going to find it tough. To get up the hill at a plod will take you a good, 10 minutes or so. And the only reason why we started doing that is because the boxing club that I was fighting for, Like to Box, had relocated, but they hadn't had their gym open. And rather than complain or not training whatsoever on a Saturday morning, we filled that gap by doing the hill sprints, and it was a blessing, because I got to tell you, doing hill sprints outside Saturday morning, freezing cold, running literally past cows as you're running up these hills, wakes you up, but most importantly gets you really, really fit. And if you can maintain that kind of resistance as you're going up the hill, it's kind of resembling in a way what you're going to go through in a fight. I think the 2 best ways to prepare for a fight is sparring itself and fighting, and the second one is doing things like the hill sprints or hill runs. They're really, really good. And if you are thinking about getting just fit, or if you're looking to get really fit for a fight in a short amount of time, that's definitely one way of doing it. Another thing I was doing is, quite naturally, the best thing to get ready for a fight is sparring. There's an argument to say that you shouldn't spar too much, because if you get hit too much before the fight, you might be a little bit punched out, you might even get a bit punch drunk and stuff, but a healthy amount of sparring is definitely needed. I have been doing about 3 or 4 sparring sessions in a week. Sparring is so crucial. It's the only thing that can kind of mimic and resemble an actual fight. My recommendation is, if you're going to start sparring, try and mix up your sparring partners. So when I was preparing for my last fight, I was down the Haymaker gym, which is owned by David Hay. Ruben Tabares is a trainer of mine, and he's trained the likes of Tiny Temper, Dynamo, Drummond, John Terry, obviously David Hay, Jazora, the list goes on. And there's also a guy down there called Ollie Edwards who he trains. Fantastic guy, really nice chap, very strong, very fit, dedicated individual, and he is a pro. He's had a few fights, he's unbeaten, and he put me through my paces. Listen, if you wanted to destroy me, you could at a drop of a hat, but he pushed me without, let's say, taking a piss out of me, which I really appreciated, because if he wanted to, he could definitely have finished me. So I was down there getting some sparring with him, and then kind of from pros, I went to the amateur clubs, my former club, which I've been raising money for, Bromley and Downham Amateur Boxing Club, and I was sparring the amateurs down there. And I've got to say, I have to admit, I've sparred a lot of pros in my life. People like Johnny Garton, Sam Webb, Bradley Skeet, a few people that I used to sponsor back in the day, Ollie Edwards, and there's been a few others. and then also amateurs. And I've got to say, I don't know about a real fight, but sparring, I hate sparring amateurs because they've got a completely different style. It's a bit like fencing, they're in and out, in and out. They're like annoying flies that you just can't get rid of. Down Bromley and Downham, there's a chap called Lewis Hayes, I think his name is, and also another guy called Sammy. Two fantastic boxers. They've got very, very bright futures ahead of them. It's part of the reason why I want to give back to the club, because it's not just about supporting their careers, but it's also giving them purpose. Rather than some of the, some kids end up going to the streets, knife crime, drugs, gangs, because they feel like they've got no purpose. What boxing does, it gives them some direction. So going back to the point, I was sparring them. I was getting different type of sparring, southpaws, heavyweights, lightweights, amateurs, pros. It really did give me, I got a beating sometimes, and sometimes I sparred terribly, but it was all factoring towards my win, which happened last year, and I wouldn't change any of it. The good spars and the bad spars, you have to go through them all. Next thing is weight training, strength and conditioning. Charlie B is my strength conditioner, and also Ruben has been helping me out, but mostly Charlie B. And goes without saying, you could be fit, you could be durable, you could be skillful as a boxer, but if you're not strong and powerful, people are going to work out you've got a weak jab, weak punch, you're weak as an individual, and they're going to walk through you. And metaphorically, I've always said this, that boxing is not just a sport, it's a lifestyle. If you're a boxer and you're a fighter, you can transfer that into your business life, investment life, family life, life itself. It makes you durable and has that winner's mindset for when life becomes a little bit tough. There's going to be recessions, there's going to be times of adversity. Currently right now in all the broadsheets, on social media, there's things talking about Brexit, coronavirus, all these crazy things out there. And I'm not saying fighters and boxers don't get affected by it, that's far from the truth, but we are just a lot more in touch with our emotions, because when you're getting banged in the face or the body and you can weather that storm and come back with something, I feel it just serves you pretty well in your life. So weight training is definitely part of being an athlete, and specifically boxing. Next one, the thing that a lot of people resent, and I've got to say I don't always enjoy it. There's sometimes I really do enjoy it, but sometimes I kind of get nervous that I've got to go out on a run, but you've got to do the road running. And, getting miles of road running in the bank is almost like depositing money into your current account. The more times you do it, the more money you're going to have in that current account. Sometimes putting a podcast, listening to some upbeat music, something that gets you going. And even if you're going for a bit of a steady jog and you're doing a 45-minute to 50-minute run, where you're not sprinting so much and you're just taking it easy, it's part of getting your weight down and getting your sort of durability up, your cardio up. It gives you time to think, and it can be quite therapeutic. I'm definitely a busy man. I've got businesses, I'm in sales, I do podcasting, I've got a family life, got my son, got property, Mimboso, the wellness company, juggling and spinning many plates. And sometimes just going for a run slowly and listening to a cool podcast or just listening to some cool music can actually help you unwind, and definitely it gives you a bit of an outlet. So definitely something, if you're going to box or just want to get fit, road running is definitely a good thing. Right, next thing, the diet, nutrition. There's two elements of it. You got the nutrition to give you a lot of energy so you can train really hard and so you can recover, because certain foods will allow you to recover. I personally have in my cold pressed juices a lot of turmeric and ginger. As you well know, they're roots and they are known for taking inflammation out your body. So if you've got injuries, if you're building up a lot of lactic acid and you're taking in things like turmeric and also ginger, it helps it disperse and get rid of it. But also, if you're trying to lose weight, you need to eat certain foods which are going to be fairly light and easy to digest. And I found a bit of a hack. When I was coming down from about 81 kilo and I had to make weight at 75 kilo, originally it was 73 kilo, and I hadn't weighed that for 6 years. The last fight before the 26 I was 73.6 kilogram, which is pretty light. I had to get back down to that. So I found a food hack, which was eating soup. And I know it sounds a bit crazy, and many people are telling me you need solid foods and that kind of stuff. I literally had a liquid diet for most of my boxing camp. So in the morning I had cold pressed juice. I would have a handful of almonds, a banana. That would be my breakfast. I've given the recipe many times, so go back to my other episodes to find out what that is. Of a lunch, I would have a vegetable kind of soup. That might be lentils, that might be tomato, that might be, some coconut green super kind of soup, which I'll get out of Whole Foods. And then I have a tub of mixed fruit, and I'll have a raw unpasteurized coconut water, which comes out pink from Whole Foods. And I would have that twice in a day. Sometimes if I felt a little bit lethargic, a little bit tired, I've got to admit I wasn't 100% strict all the time. I have to admit that. And I would go out there, get a chocolate bar, which is really bad, and that is one of my biggest vices out there. But I would get that or a flat jack, and it would kind of, pick me back up. Most of the time I was good low, and then of an evening I would also go and have a soup, a homemade soup, and I was having that regularly. And I've got to tell you, if you want to find something fairly cheap, healthy, easy, and something that's going to help you lose weight, soup diet. At the start, if you're used to eating big meals, you're going to find it a little bit tough. I found it a little bit tough. And if you're sparring, what I found in sparring in the first week or so, I had almost little to no energy. But after 2 weeks, I acclimatized, and my body just found the way to kind of adapt. And I've maintained that soup diet ever since then. I think the science behind it is that your stomach shrinks and you just become used to it. And after a couple of weeks, when you have a soup and a bit of fruit, you actually become full up, but not in a way where you feel very, very tired and stuff. So personally, a little hack to lose weight in a cost-effective way, in a healthy way, is to get soups. And if you can avoid microwaves, avoid them, because even though they're a quick way of heating up your food, they destroy all the nutrition. Listen to one of my interviews that I had with Ruben Tabarez over a year ago at the Haymaker Gym. He will tell you some of the facts behind why people should avoid microwaves. So heat it up in a pan on the what do you call it, stove. Yeah, thank you for that. And it's a much better way of doing it. And quite naturally, stay away from the alcohols, that's a given. Stay away from any higher levels of refined sugar and salts. And the most important thing is increase your water. You need to stay hydrated all the time. It's something that you probably hear from your mum and dad, hear from your spouse, your friends, but I can't emphasize enough the amount of people I've interviewed from the health, wellness and nutritional background. Ruben Tabarez, there was Pete, there's been Coop, DC, there's multiple people. There's a common theme, common thread. We're 65%, 70%, maybe more made up of water, and we're constantly being depleted of water every single day through sweating, urinating, that kind of stuff. So having lots of water, especially whilst you're training, is so important. Next one, recovery. I am a big believer of having massages, especially deep tissue sport massages. If you haven't had one before, they're fucking painful. But again, after a while, you become acclimatized and it flushes out any unnecessary fluids in between your muscles and your joints, lactic acid, and it allows you to recover quicker. It allows you to become fitter, stronger. It's all around good for you. And also, it's a bit of an outlet as well. Like, sometimes when you're a little bit lethargic, I'm fairly tired now because I've been training my ass off. I've been working really hard. I've got projects on the go. I'm constantly thinking about things. But getting a 45 minute to an hour, even half an hour massage, it just allows you to unwind. You won't be on the phone. We're all, I'm definitely someone that is on my phone way too much. I have to be on it for my business, but obviously, things like podcasts and building up a social profile, that kind of thing, it can be very, very distracting. When you're doing a sports massage, that's never going to happen. It's a good way for you to have a small amount of detox from technology. One of the things that I've never tried before, which was always on my goals list to do, which I saw Floyd Mayweather do for the first time in Las Vegas, Nevada in America, when he was doing one of his all access 24/7, HBO programs, was he went into a cryo sub-zero chamber, and I thought it was absolutely bonkers. I mean, I've heard about ice baths and all that kind of thing, but this was taking it to a new level. And through a friend of mine called Tony Stacey, I was put in contact with a phenomenal entrepreneur, lovely, upbeat, fantastic woman, a lady called Maria, who owns a company called London Cryo. She's got 2 spots, one in Belgravia, one in Bishopsgate in the city. And basically this sub-zero chamber went below minus 130 degrees, and you're only in there for a minute or so. And unlike an ice bath where you have to get, obviously unchanged and you get wet and you're sitting in there and you might get sort of almost like a mini version of frostbite, this you don't get wet, you're just in this chamber. And I only had 1 session of it, and I can only imagine if I kept it up, you would recover, and therefore you'll be able to hit the gym harder and do more sessions more frequently just because you've recovered right. People oversee recovery, people oversee rest, sleeping, ice baths, cold showers, cryotherapy, eating the right foods, massaging, taking days off the gym. They oversee it because if they're not sweating and pushing themselves, they think it's not actually helping them. It's far from the truth. Recovery is very, very important, especially as you get older. So I took that into massive consideration, and I believe it definitely served me. And one of the last things I want to talk about is when you're doing something, whether you're having a family, a business, or something like a boxing match, or you're running a marathon, you've got to have a purpose. Now, the event itself is a purpose, don't get me wrong. I done it, one reason is because when I lost my last fight, before the one in the 26th of October, I'm never ever going to come out of the sport, let's say retire from the sport, being beat on my last fight. It's just not who I am. I wouldn't finish my sales month with, losing. I wouldn't finish anything losing. I need to go back to that thing and at least attempt a win. So part of it was to see if I can get back in the ring after 6 years and compete at that level. That was part of it. The other thing that I done it for was for a charitable cause. I've been raising now money for Bromley and Downham for the best part of a year now. Reason why Bromley and Downham is so close to my heart, which is a youth club as well as a boxing club, amateur boxing club, because I have seen, and I'm a product in my own mind of what I'm about to say, of someone who wasn't so confident, someone that was a little bit, let's say a little bit afraid of communicating with people. I was not the sharpest tool in the box. I wasn't very, very smart at school. And what boxing and sales, but boxing initially when I was 14 done for me was give me that confidence. Because if you can hold your hands up, if you can train, if you can compete, if you can learn the art and discipline of boxing, because it is very much a discipline, it gives you confidence in other things into your life. And when I was going to job interviews, when I was meeting people for the first time, when I was doing presentations, boxing has definitely served a huge factor to my core confidence and my core kind of values and that kind of thing. People have a misconception about boxing. They think it's a violent sport. Violence, fighting, is part of it, but it's controlled. And you'll find that even the most baddest blood shed between 2 opponents, they will shake hands at the end of that fight, no matter if someone gets really hurt, knocked out, because they understand it is a sport at the end of the day, and it's a professional sport, and it means that professionals, at the end of their competition, their bout, they shake hands. Boxing and Bromley and Downham, they've definitely helped the community, local community. They helped many kids, females as well as males. When I was first started, when I was 14, there wasn't a sight of a female down there. Now there's a lot more females going down to boxing gyms, which is a great thing to see, because it shouldn't be stereotyped to one gender to another. It should be for everybody. Confidence stemmed from learning a skill, becoming very good at it, and you can transfer that mindset and that feel-good factor into other parts of your life. So whether that's boxing or taking up another sport or even learning an instrument or a new language, you can find your calling and transfer it over somewhere else. So Bromley Downham, I've heard even recently they've come up against some financial difficulties. So I'm urging my audience, my friends, my family, anyone who wants to come and watch me fight, please donate or please come and watch me, because all that money is going to be going back down to Bromley Downham, and it gives me another reason to get out of bed in the morning and go and spar or train. Next one, building my brand. I've always wanted to be seen as someone that is multi-focused, if you can call it that. There's a lot of people I look up to. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, I spoke about recently in one of his posts. Wrestler, actor, used to be an American footballer. I mean, there's so many things to talk about him. He's a great man. There's other superstar celebrities, people that I know, people that I admire, who are very fit, they're humble, they're educated, they're confident, they're strong, they're durable, they're athletic, and for me, that's what I want to be, and that's what I'm pursuing every single day. Being in business, having family, traveling the world, competing, and it's about building up my own personal brand, not just my podcast, the Stephen Sulley Study, but it's also about just me as an individual. I want to show that you can, at your 24 hours, do it all if you really put your mind to it. Use your 24 hours right, get up early, be passionate, pursue, be happy, never content, as I say, and you can always find another path that gives you excitement, and it will flourish and dovetail into other things, and boxing's definitely done that for me. And last one, being in business, having a family, and all that other stuff I just mentioned, it's a blessing as well as a curse, because there are times when things get fucking difficult and you go through challenges, you're challenged, you're pushed back, there's setbacks, there's injuries. And what boxing's done for me is a physical and mental outlet. Look, I've never suffered from depression, as it were, or mad amount of anxiety. Of course, I've felt them all because I'm human, we all do. But I've not, fallen into that pocket, which I've known some people have, and it's easily done. And everyone that I've spoken to suffered it and came out of it the other side, they all say typically the same thing. Training has really done a lot for them. Look, in the last week or so, we saw part 2 of Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. Not only was that fight a spectacle where we saw Tyson Fury completely dominate it and schooled Wilder, who has been undefeated for over 40 fights and he's got a mad knockout ratio on his hit list. But I think the most impressive thing, and the reason why non-boxing fans or the casual boxing fans were drawn into this fight a lot more, is because not just of the fight, because of the profile of Tyson Fury. He was someone who's heavyweight champion of the world, lost it all because he fell into anxiety, depression, and spiraled out of control, drinking drugs and just doing the wrong things, and then built himself back up. And what that can demonstrate is how strong humans are. When you've got right people around you, you can flourish. When you've got wrong people around you, it will drag you down. When you've got the right mindset, you can achieve anything you want. When you've got the wrong mindset, you can't even achieve anything. You can't even get, out of bed in the morning, and you can't even stay on track. So mental and physical outlet, whether that's the gateway through boxing, the gateway through competing, gateway through a hobby, running, anything, I think you need to find it. And that's part of the reason why I had that fight. I'm going to continue fighting. I'm just going to see where it takes me. I'm a firm believer, if you take a step into the unknown, because boxing is the unknown, because you're going to fight someone, but you don't actually really know so much about that person, especially if you're not a pro, because there's not much to go on. But you find out about yourself, and as cliche or as corny as that sounds, you only truly find out who you are when you have to bite down your gum shield and fucking get through tough times. And again, metaphorically, that example will serve you for so many other things out there. Boxing is not just a sport. It's not just getting in the boxing gym and hitting a couple of pads or hitting a bag or doing some sprints or sparring. It's a lifestyle, and I truly believe that. Once a fighter, always a fighter. And if you have that fighting mentality, enough is never enough, and you want to always go to the moon and back to get massive achievements. Look out for me on all my socials, YouTube. I'm also uploading my podcast onto the Mimboso app. Please download, subscribe onto that. It's a fantastic platform for like-minded people. If you're into wellness, nutrition, competing, mental health, money, business, this is the platform for you. And also, if you want to hear more about sales, more about business, more about just my take on stuff, I'm not an expert, but I like to share some of the stuff that I've gone through. I think I've gone through quite a lot over the years. I've had some success. I've had some really fucked up, crazy moments in my life. I like to share it with you. And most importantly, I like to get great guests on. I've had some really cool guests. I'm about to get some fantastic guests on. And if you're someone that wants to come onto my podcast and feel like you're aligned with the brand, reach out to me. It'll be an honor to speak to you. Guys, please leave a comment, subscribe, follow me, be happy and never content. Cheers.